So as I'm editing this, the update clip I had for Queen of Shadows, apparently the audio didn't record, which is great. I was talking for like 8 minutes and I don't know what I was saying because it was months ago. For reference, it is now September and I filmed that in like April. So I'm very disappointed. I don't read lips, so I truly cannot figure out what I'm saying. But the first clip of this video is me talking about how I finished Queen of Shadows. And I really wish that my update video had made it because I feel like I recall having something interesting is probably like a stretch, but like I think it was interesting. I would be interested. I would be interested to hear what my midway thoughts were, and I will probably never know them because I don't know anyone who lip reads, and YouTube is just a fun little hobby, so it's not worth paying someone to lip read my 8-minute video. But yeah, so we're gonna jump right into me finishing Queen of Shadows, and then the tandem read, and then me reading Kingdom of Ash, which, spoilers, I also had no updates for Kingdom of Ash, but that was because I didn't make an update. I just read the whole thing before I came back to the camera. May was a weird month. Thank you for watching. Okay. What is happening? Oh, goodness. I am unwell. I got a new tattoo. That's not why I'm unwell. The two are unrelated. I finished Queen of Midnight. I believe that I have actually died at this point. I am not in any way prepared for where the series is going. Everyone's character arcs are just so much. I in no way expected to be attached to Keltane at all. Like, I was interested in what was going on with her, but for her to sacrifice herself like that, I almost cried. And also because I was listening to the Tortured Poets Department, because that came out today, which just made everything so much sadder, more emotional. My cats are being weird. I don't know if you can hear her. She runs so loud. Obviously, that Nugget's sitting on the table like a bad cat. Anyway, so Kaltane's story was just devastating. To go from hating her in Throne of Glass to basically crying over her dying in I'm calling it book 5. I guess it's technically book 4, but because Assassin's Blade is like mandatory reading, like I know it's a 0.5, but I'm still considering it a full novel. So therefore, Queen of Shadows is book 5 in my mind. That killed me. I love that Manon is finally starting to realize that like she was actually on the wrong side of things, and like her ending with wanting to be better, like she didn't say that, but asking Asterion, that's how I've been saying it, about what love is, and like I think she's got a little crush on Dorian, and like she went out of her way to save Dorian. I mean, she claims it was a life debt because Aelin saved her, which was also, I loved everything about that. But like she didn't have to save Dorian. She could have just let Aelin kill him. And I mean, to some degree, that would have been, I don't mean okay, because like we as the reader knew he was still in there, but no one has ever like come out of that okay before. And also the way Keltane killed her little prince, that was everything. And then the fact that I care about, I want to say Lysandra. Is that right? Why is every single chapter about Elodie? Who's like, I'm hoping she'll be better. Yes, okay, Lysandra. I didn't have strong feelings towards her in Assassin's Blade, but like I loved her in this. Like they killed Arabin. And okay, like I realized Kale's not really gonna die, but I was a little disappointed that death is not permanent in this series. And when I say that, I mean there's a lot of fake out for everything to be fine. And I knew that I should have known that going in because of the way death is really not a thing in ACOTAR. So I shouldn't have been surprised that Kale lived. But like the stakes are low when I am pretty sure everyone but Keltane is gonna live. Because Keltane's already dead in theory. And I love that, like, I love A, that the king is dead, but like that the Duke is actually so much worse. That I did not see that coming at all. Like I knew he was bad. But I like going through this, I was just like, this is really kind of ramping up to kind of be this battle against what we've been told is this big bad to prevent him from getting to the Demon King, whose name starts with an E, and I don't remember it. The names in this are so much harder for me to remember than Akatar. Like my friend is finishing up book 2, and I can remember all the characters. This one is definitely a lot more dense for me, but it's so much more fun. Like I'm having way more fun with this, and I loved Akatar. I had a great time. It was very light and fun, and like just I was kicking my feet the whole time. This is a lot heavier. Past me would be shooting daggers at me when I say that I think this is a better series, like the overall story. But like, and I think I've already said this, but like I stand by Throne of Glass is not that great, and I'm shocked that it created this whole series because like it was a very mid book, but whatever. So what that means is I have like give or take 2,300 pages left of this series. I have like 2 weeks, if that, to binge 2,300 pages of a series that I have been taking roughly a week per book on, which is atypical for me, but like I said, it's a lot denser just for me. Like this is, I don't know if this is literally high fantasy because like it's YA and I don't know if they really get classified in the same way. What makes this slower for me is a lot of what I don't necessarily like in high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings and like Realm Breaker, things like that, where I like, and even really the Red Queen series, like they were all a lot slower because there's just like a lot of politics and world building and like just high, um, a lot of stuff that's really harder for me to remember, but like, and I know Akatar is that too, but like it was romance first, so it was light. Hi, I can't pick the Stormy up, but right here, right there's a kitty cat. So anyway, yes, loved this. Devastated, screaming, crying, throwing up. Also, my reaction to the Tortured Poets Department, screaming, crying, throwing up. Because when I tell you, I woke up at 3 a.m. today, and it is currently 5:15, and I would say for these 14 hours I've been awake, 10 to 12 of them have been listening to that album on repeat. Like it's been on all day. There are no skips. How does she do it? Anyway, but when I tell you the hype that I have for this tandem read, which is almost ridiculous because it's not like reading it in tandem is going to change the content of the books, but I love that it's a thing. I'm so excited to start. I have all my little tabs, and the insane part of me is like, can I read these this weekend? Like, I'm gonna, I don't know, watch TV or read something else tonight, but I'm kind of thinking I might just spend all weekend reading these. We'll see. I don't have any other plans. I was supposed to have book club this weekend, but we moved it, which is good because obviously I've not started it yet. But those are my theoretical plans. And then I also have Kingdom of Ash, and then I could read that over the course of like 2 weeks. It'd be fine. Oh, the other thing about Lysandra is that she's a shapeshifter. I love that. I love seeing her come into her own. Now she's a lady of Terrason's court, I guess. Is that how you say that? Oh, I love that. And who do I think? I think she, okay, so for like the romances, okay, that's the other thing, right? Okay, so I think Lysandra is going to get with Aiden. Kale is going to stay with Nesrin. Dorian and Manon. And okay, so here's the thing. Aelin and Rowan. I have finally, after talking about this, like for like the past however many updates. Rowan is not her direct cousin. I did finally figure that out. They are technically related, but I guess it's distant enough for it to not matter. Even though, again, she Aiden was willing to marry his cousin, so that's like a whole thing. But it's fine. Her and Rowan aren't like cousins. But someone in the ACOTAR fandom, because like we're all pretty sure we're getting Elaine's book next, right? Someone was commenting because like I know there's a whole bunch of speculations on who her mate is, or not her mate. I guess technically Lucian's her mate, but like who she's going to be with between Lucian and the Bat Boy. I just said these names are easy to remember, and I forgot his name. Azriel and Tamlin. Those are like the three contenders. But then someone pointed out that in one of Sarah J. Maas's like updates, there's something about pine and snow or whatever, and that's what Rowan smells like. So it makes me think that Aylin's not going to get with Rowan like permanently. So then who does she end up with? Because everyone told me that there's romance in this, and like I don't care if there is or not, but like they're clearly pairing these people off. So make that make sense. Selena / Aylin is going through these men, dropping them, and where's the payoff? Who's her boyfriend? Ugh, I mean, I shouldn't care. She shouldn't care. There's a war happening. Romance is, like, is she gonna just end up being alone? Like, girl boss, we stand. But she's a queen. She needs an heir. Oh, bath time. I love my kitty. So I guess I need to, get through these behemoths and figure it out. As I'm guessing, I have to assume her romance has to, like, I guess technically be Empire of Storms, because I don't think Aylin's in this one. Also, I feel so bad for this fandom who were reading this live, because to know that these take place at the same time, like, I have been told Empire of Storms ends on a cliffhanger. But even without that, to just go through what I'm sure is going to be just so much heartbreak and turmoil, to turn back the clock and do it all over again before getting Kingdom of Ash. Like these were a year apart, weren't they? So you have to just sit on that apparently cliffhanger for 2 years. I would simply pass away. Yeah, okay, 2016, 2017. I would die. I say this as if I'm not. I haven't read a long series since ever. I mean, Harry Potter. No. Did I not just read Crave last year? But like honestly, I only like the first 4. The last 2, I didn't need at all. Because again, Charm could have been a novella. Like truly, you could have made that a novella. And then not that much of Cherish would have had to change. And also, I didn't even really like Cherish. So Covet was my favorite. Court was just kind of like okay, which is funny because I read Covet in like a day because I was driving from North Carolina to Michigan, and by driving I mean I was a passenger princess, and I read most of that in the 12 hours in the car. Okay, I'm gonna go be insane, and then I will update you when I start Empire of Storms. I am begging authors to stop saying people suck on their teeth. When they say teeth, it's not quite so bad because I feel like it's more of just like I can't do it. I can't do it. But like, you know, just kind of like a sucking inhale noise. Like, okay, fine. I get that. I don't love it, but I get it. But like, Sarah, my lady, Aylin sucked on a tooth. Ma'am, how? Your teeth are all attached to your gums. How are you sucking on one individual tooth? Because I am getting an image of you having someone else's tooth kicking around in your mouth and you're sucking on it like a hard candy, okay? I need that image to be gone, first of all. I just need that to not be a thing. So please stop sucking on teeth. It's gross. It's so gross. Also, Lorcan stalking Elodie. I hate all these names. Lorcan is following Elodie, and I want him to help her. He doesn't want to. He wants to torture her because she's got demon blood. Specifically, he said demon. He did not say witch blood. So I have a lot of questions. I'm hoping when they, because I assume he will eventually catch her, that he will help her. Hopefully. Because I feel like Lorcan's not like a terrible guy. Because like he wants to destroy the weird keys, I think. So I like that. But I'm also concerned that Elodie's going to give him the weird key. And I think it's important that Aelin has them. So. My hair looks really weird. I just woke up from a nap. Oh. Ow, my tattoo. Well, thank you, Nugget. I was gonna say that I couldn't keep reading because she was being really cute. I couldn't get up. Seriously, what is with my hair? But apparently making a video about her being cuddly was too much for her. This is why you wear a sleep bonnet when you have curls. Because they do this. Anyway, all these plans I had to read these 2 books in 2 days are going great. It is currently 2 p.m. and I've read like maybe 100 pages between both books. I swear, I can read an entire like 400-page book in a day on accident. But the second I'm like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna read this book in one day, I have so many other shiny distractions, including naps. Also, nothing exciting has really happened yet. And that sounds really mean to say because Duke Parrington has released The Witches on Rifthold. And that should have been exciting. But it was over really fast. Rowan saved Dorian and they escaped on the ship. And it's done now. What is that? And then there's like nothing going on with Cole, Kale, and Nesrin. Although, I can already say, if I hadn't done this as a tandem read, I would be hating Tower of Dawn. Like, I don't believe for a minute that it's a bad book, but I can definitely sense it is the lesser action of the two. And having only read like 4 chapters of Tower of Dawn, my immediate reaction is like maybe Empire of Storms just could have been a little bit longer and included some of the Kale chapters instead of 700 pages of his adventure. But we will see once his story starts picking up, because I suspect once it picks up, I will not actually feel this way. Although, in general, I'm under the impression that most books don't ever need to be over 500 pages because, like, it's never that serious. So, these last 4 books, in reality, are all possibly too long anyway. However, that doesn't make them not good. It's just sometimes you don't always need all of that waiting space. Because sometimes that's all it is. It's just kind of waiting. Going on a tangent, there is something to be said about having downtime and kind of like white air, because we're running into this problem with TV now. I can't look at my glasses when they're all messed up like that. That because streaming is so like, oh, we can only have 8 episodes every 6 years for a season, which like that's a whole other argument that I have. But they never give us like we're not getting 22 episode seasons anymore. So there is no downtime. Like, all these episodes have to be so filled with action and movement, and like they're exhausting to watch because you like there's so much going on all the time because they have such limited episodes. And we need more downtime, more breathing room for these characters to just relax and grow, because like that's usually where like the best bits come from, is when they're not in high stress situations all the time, and we're losing that. So I definitely don't want books to just be 200 pages of action. Like that's obviously not at all what I mean. I just think most books don't genuinely need to be over 500 pages. Like there are some that 100% need it. There are some that don't need it but like are good. And that's kind of where I'm falling with Sarah J. Maas. Like I don't think they need it, but I'm enjoying myself. And then there are some that both don't need it and aren't good. And I will die on this hill and I will get flamed for it for anyone who cares. But It by Stephen King is way too long, and I hate the way that that story is told. Like, subjectively, the choice to tell the story as adults and then children, back and forth like that was a choice. I don't like it. I recognize that one's on me. But that to me helped made sure there was no weight in the children's story because page 1 opens and you know who lives at the end of the child's story. So there's no tension. Okay, that's not true. There is tension, like obviously. But like I know no one's going to die. So that already took it out. And then for me, I did not like how every story that happened to the adults was then like mirrored to a story that happened to them as kids, because I'm just like, I'm reading the same stories over and over again. That just didn't work for me. That's not a criticism of Stephen King. I just didn't like that. My criticism of Stephen King is that everything in that book was way too long and so much of it was pointless. Like I did not need to have like this lengthy chapter about this gay man and his life before Pennywise killed him. None of that needed to be there. There was a lot on the history of dairy. Some of it was necessary. Some of it I think really wasn't. But I hate that book. Like I have a dying passion for that book. And like I would say at least 50% is just a personal distaste. And some of it I think genuinely is the fault of Stephen King. Like I genuinely think there are things about it that are bad. And when people defend it saying, oh, well, he was on cocaine, like that's not the defense you think it is. Like if any other profession came in and did their job coked out, you would not defend them by saying, oh, well, they're just on cocaine. Like you would not give them a job and a platform. You would say they're on cocaine. That's insane. But like that's the defense of Stephen King, because he was coked out in the 80s, so like it's okay. It's not okay. It's weird. And it's weird that that's like a defense. I'm ranting about this for no reason. Do you think FedEx showed up while I was napping? Let's go find out. So I got some book mail that I ordered. Nothing special. Why we're hanging out in the kitchen? It's not a secret. I just wanted to eat pickles. And for those of you who aren't asking, I make my own pickles. And they're so good. Like, I don't know how to explain to you that I am a god when it comes to making dill pickles. I could eat them all day, every day. And at this point, I think I am 85% garlic. I could never be a vampire. Even though of all the mythical creatures, although Fae are kind of winning now, but like for the most part, all mythical creatures, like I've always been like, I could be a vampire. The superhuman strength, the immortality, the fact that they're always sexy, at least like in modern lore. I mean, I couldn't drink blood, but like I think if I was a vampire, I'd get over it, you know? But like Fae are kind of winning now because I'm reading all these Fae books. But the point of that is my obsession with garlic. I could never be a vampire. And they could never turn me because that seems to be consistent. Unless we count Twilight. Does Twilight even talk about garlic? I mean, Twilight's Fae. Okay? Can we all agree with that? Twilight's Fae. Like they say they're not. Anyway, the book mail. It was from Thrift Books. Right? Okay, this is the side without my address on it. Because I'm a thrifty girl. And I didn't open this well. But we got some fun ones. Starting with, it's next library copy, so it's not surprising, but that was really dirty. Security by Gina Walsdorf, which I think two of these are actually books that I decided I wanted to read after watching Books of Lala read them. I don't really remember. I think she actually didn't like this one. Oh. Someone wrote notes. That's cute. Like who these characters are. But what I like about it, let me see if I can find it, is the dual like perspectives going on at the same time. It's gonna make or break if this book is any good, but for anyone wondering, I got it for free because I had a free book credit. So I figured it was a good one to try. And I think I can actually get most of this gross cover off, like the library cover. And then I got this beautiful edition of The Scapegoat by Daphne du Maurier, because I never buy these types of books, but like I didn't like any of the covers of the like recent editions, and I really liked this one. Oh my gosh, it has like the old school library. This is from 1985. I love old books. This was printed in 1957, I think. And even has color. Like, that's just not common. I have a ton of Daphne du Maurier books because I read Rebecca and I loved it. It's the only classic I really ever liked. So I keep buying du Maurier books and never reading them. And I think I saw someone talking about this on TikTok because someone was like, oh my gosh, I wish there was a book that was like this. And someone was like, read The Scapegoat. Do I remember what the prompt was? Not a bit, but I found it and I'm excited. And also, someone tried to write in the do for du Maurier. That's cute. So I think, despite all the ones I've owned for a long time, this is gonna be the one I read next. And oh my gosh, it has that old book smell. I know it's like decay, but I love it so much. And then the last one is LMNOP, because I love epistolary novels. And that was all I really needed. The whole concept of the alphabet like being slowly taken away from them, that's what I remembered, is that they keep losing letters. And anyway, I'm excited. So that is my book mail. Yep, that's how I wanted that to go. But Little Miss I Have a Dream, and I'm gonna read 600 pages on Saturday and 600 pages on Sunday and finish the tandem read in one weekend. It is now, you can't read that, 7 p.m. on Saturday. I've read 260 pages total, not in one book, just total. And what did you do with your entire day, you might be asking yourself? Absolutely nothing. I took a nap. That was great. I watered my plants, which my vegetables doing fantastic. My peas, my cucumbers, my dill, all growing great. Cucumbers and dill for the pickles. I have actually never successfully grown cucumbers. Last year I got pretty close, but then a fatal accident with my planter box ruined it. And I started really late in the season. That was another problem. No, that's not true. I grew peas last year. Those did grow. My flowers, not doing so great. I'm trying so hard, but I do not get a ton of sun. And because I'm not going to show you the outside of my house because I have some sense of self-preservation, I can't really like show you, but I don't get a ton of sun. So I think that's part of the problem. I get in my backyard. That's where my vegetables are. So I just put one of my flowers in the back in hopes that it'll bloom and then maybe it'll bloom and then I can put it in the front. I also have strawberries accidentally growing in my window box because I tried growing them inside last year with one of those hydroponic desk gardens, if you will, forgetting that strawberries do not self-pollinate. And I wasn't gonna invite a bee inside. So at the end of the season, my mental season, as indoors there's not a season, when I threw everything away, because that was where I was growing my peas and I got tired of taking care of them, so I threw them out. Well, I threw them outside. They died. Which makes sense. But I threw them in my planter box because like, oh, like they can feed the soil or whatever. And the strawberries, I didn't even think about the fact that they were still in there. Because like they sprouted, but they obviously weren't gonna bear fruit. And then I haven't obviously been taking care of them in the winter because, like, why would I? And they're growing strong. And again, I don't know that they'll actually bear fruit because I feel like they need more sun than they're actually getting, because I had flowers in there last year and they never bloomed. The stalks got really long. They tried so hard. Like, I was so proud of them. They did not succeed. I eventually stopped watering them and then they died because I got so sad that they were never gonna bloom. But like, I tried. But I've got bleeding hearts and snapdragons and I think magnolias. I don't know, there's some other flower that I was like that I'm trying to get to grow. They have not gotten above the dirt yet, so I feel like we're not succeeding. Also, birds keep playing in them. If anyone has any advice for that. They're also, I mean, I'm having wildlife attack my vegetables too, but like that was to be expected because I'm not putting a net around my relatively small planter box. I am actually really proud of that one. And then I bought 2 flowers that were already sprouted just so I could have some flowers. I got some Gerbera daisies and lupines. Those are very pretty. And I have cat grass in the house, which is growing, but I haven't watered it in like a week, and I feel like more water is appearing in the pot. I don't feel like I actually at any point like aggressively overwatered it, but like it's like it is actively rejecting the water at this point. So for being a girl who grew up on a farm and whose mother, father, and both my maternal grandparents are like plant sims, like literally they are all like, they're above green thumb. Like, my grandfather literally ran a for-profit vegetable farm. And I'm over here struggling to grow one flower. It's embarrassing. Anyway, so that was, I did nothing with my day. That was what that tangent was. Hi, Stormy. That was that tangent. I played with my cats, I took a nap, I watered my plants. Oh, and I saw my pool. It's not ready for the season, but they did take the cover off, which means they're getting ready to clean it, and I'm so excited. I miss the pool. I put on sunscreen to go on a walk a couple weeks ago, and just the smell of the sunscreen, I was just like, oh my god, I want to go sit by the pool. And I can't because it's not open, but soon, I'm so excited. But as for the books, which is the point of this vlog, this is getting so talky. I have no idea what I'm doing with this vlog. It's 1 or 2 parts, I don't know. And therefore, if this is 2 parts, this is going to be in, and if it's 1 part, it might be cut. You'll never know what has happened. Manon is in trouble because she didn't quite get caught saving Dorian, but like kind of a little bit, because she killed a Yellowlegs in that process. So they're getting punished. And the last time we've seen her, they said Asterion is going to die. Not happy about that. I'm so good at this. So I've not been back to the, I was gonna say Blackbeard, the witches. We haven't seen the witches since that has been stated. I'm hoping Asterion lives, because she is the most empathetic, and I feel like Manon is kind of at a precipice of which way she's gonna go, hoping for her to turn good. We haven't seen Elodie in a while, but she has finally met up with, not Lucian, I don't have the book, the L guy, and he's currently planning to keep her safe, but he doesn't totally trust her, but he does still think that he's got a weird key, so that's good that he's currently been fooled, I think. And then Aelin is not being recognized as a Queen of Terrasen, which I didn't even realize was a possibility. I mean, it makes sense that there are steps and like protocols if something happens to the entire royal family in one go, but like I'm shocked that they were just like, nope, you're not queen, fuck you. And so now, then they got word that there's going to be an attack on Rifthold, so now they're all going away from Terrasen, which I just now realize is where Elodie is headed, and she's not going to be able to get to Selena, and she's got the weird key. Ah! I really hope that their paths cross. And let's see, Rowan. Oh God, Rowan is with Dorian, and Kale is still in the southern continent. Oh God. Oh my God. That's what I get for eating. Well, but we have Irene as a character, which she's on the back of the book, but I didn't read it. So that was a fun surprise to see her again. That does lend a lot more credence to making Assassin's Blade more of a required read, where earlier I said it wasn't after one book or one read. I do think it's good to read your first time through, and then I said maybe you don't need to reread it, but now that Irene came back, I think that makes more sense to read it all the time. And I'm loving her struggle. I mean, I don't love that she is struggling, but I just feel like it's very realistic for, I mean, especially healers, to be forced to work on people that they don't necessarily like or trust, because that's just what you do when you're a healer. So I like that that's a thing. And then Kale still has like the Valg drama, like essence of Valg in his bones. Like, not that he's possessed, but that her healing him is going to kind of, my current interpretation, she's gonna have to like draw it out of him, which sounds like it's gonna suck. So I'm super interested in that. And I think, is that all the plot points? Am I missing anyone? Probably. I definitely am. I cannot pronounce any of these names. Anyway, I'm gonna go get my pickles now. I probably won't read again. It's 7 o'clock. But like, I barely doom scrolled today, so you know, gotta fit that in. Manon just killed her grandmother. And I mean, warranted. Fully warranted. But I have like goosebumps. I did not expect that to happen. And I'm so like, Manon's growth in this whole series has been my favorite thing. I've been obsessed with her. I was just texting my sister that I was like, there's so many characters in this series. We're always changing perspective. And like, we got told that Asterin was gonna die. And then it's been like so many chapters, particularly between switching books, and we hadn't gone back. And I was like, I need to know what's happening. And then we go back, and Manon's like, oh, I get the final kill. Like, I'm gonna kill her. She's my second. I deserve this. And then she killed her grandmother. And it sounds like she wants to get the position of, like, witch queen. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know in a literal sense, but, like, I don't feel like the Yellow Legs and the Blue Bloods, is that what they are gonna, like, be super chill with losing their positions. And Manon is the heir. Like, she's the next in line behind her grandmother for her clan. I kind of feel like maybe she's not gonna be allowed to get it after killing her grandmother. That kind of feels like an issue. Anyway, I want to give you cat tax, but I don't know if I can flip this around, so we'll see. Are you there? Can you be seen? Hi, baby girl. Oh, now you're gonna come closer. I am halfway through Tower of Dawn and like 40% through Empire of Storms. I really expected to hit halfway at the same time, so this is very interesting. I was trying to get to like the long stretch of Empire of Storms before I paused, but that would be like 120 more pages between the two, and I am not gonna make it. So I'm gonna pause for the night. So my plans of reading this and finishing this weekend failed spectacularly. Could not have done worse. But I made huge progress, which is great. It at least means I will finish these before the weekend. Will I read Kingdom of Ash before my book club book? I don't think I'll have time. That one's like 1,000 pages. We'll see. We'll see. That's future me's problem. But what I did want to talk about is how I'm feeling sus on Caution. Like, he might be the Vogue that's infiltrating wherever Kale's at. I don't know how to pronounce anything from that realm, like, at all. But, like, Caution's, like, super into Irene. And this Vogue wants to kill Irene. That just feels like there's a connection there. Did not see Kale and Nestrin breaking up. I mean, I know they weren't, like, together, but, like, that was a surprise. So I keep, like, predicting these romantic couples, and I feel like I'm getting all of them wrong. Except for Aiden and Lysandra. I am pretty sure on that one. That's about it. Why I'm sure about Dorian and Manon is a whole other debate. One of my cats is playing with something. I don't know if you can hear it. It's just interesting that, like, I've decided to be focused on the romance when the book isn't. It's not like me. I'm not a huge romance girly. Like, I have romance and I enjoy it, but, like, I don't usually seek it out. So it's, like, weird. And I think it's just because someone told me that, like, they hang out with their romantic partners. So I've been kind of trying to piece it together. But now we're, like, almost done. And I'm only, like, 50% sure that Aelin is going to end up with Rowan and or end up alive. Like, I'm so confused. What else do I know? Kale told Irene to tell the princess lady that Aelin was gonna go to Skull Island because, like, oh, she'll never go there, but, like, haha, that's literally where she is. So I imagine that that's gonna come into play in this half, because what I've been doing is, the top ones are where I haven't read, and then the side ones are where I'm at. Going forward, like, on a reread, I don't know what I'll do. I might find a Kindle file, honestly. Also, how did any of you who read this in real time like Tower of Dawn? And I'm saying this as someone who's having fun. Tower of Dawn would have been such a letdown because I've been told Empire of Storms ends on a cliffhanger. So, to get all this action and all this plot advancement, like, there's, you know, things are happening, to end on a cliffhanger, wait a year, and then go back in time and just, like, 600 pages of Kale dealing with his trauma, I would have been so pissed. Like, so pissed. The only reason, truthfully, that I'm enjoying this is because I am reading them as if they are one book. Tower of Dawn as a standalone coming after the action and right before the conclusion is a bold move. I have seen some people say to just do Tower of Dawn before Empire of Storms. And so far, I think the only direct spoiler for Empire of Storms would be finding out that the witches took Rifthold. I mean, that's probably not even that big of a... Hi! I doubt that's, like, a huge deal. Hi, baby girl. Hi. Oh, okay. Okay. It's cute that you want to cuddle, but we are going to go upstairs and go to bed soon, so things to consider before you get too cozy. So yeah, Tower of Dawn is great when it's part of Empire of Storms. I hate to relate it to Charm. Is that Cherish? Charm? Book 5 from that vampire from Crave. That was also just like a back in time story that could have been a novella. And do I think Tower of Dawn could be a novella? No. Do I think this could have been maybe 1,000 pages instead of 600? Or this one might be closer to 700. Maybe just trim that down and make this just a chunky boy. Chunkier boy. This thing, so thick. I don't know. Was 600 some pages of Kale dealing with his trauma fully necessary? We'll find out. But again, that is not me saying I don't like the story. I just think it was a bold move during this release cycle. Also, don't answer this. Does Throne of Glass make an appearance in Crescent City? Because I know Crescent City 3 has... Well, I think it has Nesta. I actually don't know if it's the whole ACOTAR crew, but I have been told by the interwebs that at least Nesta is in Crescent City. 3. So I was under the impression that Crescent City was tying together the Mossverse, but I'm asking questions to the void because I don't want an answer. Because I don't know when I'm going to read Crescent City. For starters, because I haven't found book 2 in hardcover yet. And even though I've been reading all these in paperback, I found a copy of Crescent City 1 used in hardback. So now, and then I found book 3 at Sam's Club. So now I just need book 2 for affordable. But I want it in hardcover because so far, all of my Sarah J. Maas series match, like, as a series. But, like, not Throne of Glass, ACOTAR, the fact that book 5, I guess, is going to come out in hardcover, they're not going to match. Because I don't think I want to buy a hardcover set. Like, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. But, like, not enough to get another edition. Caveat being, when it is completely done, if there is, like, a pretty box set, I might buy that. Maybe. Also, speaking of ACOTAR and all of these theories about who Elaine is going to end up with and, like, who Tamlin's mate is, can I just throw it out there that I am actually team Elaine and Tamlin? Like, it is weird to have your sister's ex. Like, that is weird. But Elaine is so spring court coded. And I saw a theory, and I'm only going to be mad if they're right, because this would have been such a good, like, plot twist. But I saw this theory that it was actually Tamlin who was mated to Elaine, and Lucian, I guess, smelled it or knew it, or I don't know, figured it out. And he claimed Elaine as his mate to keep Tamlin from talking, because he knew Feyre would freak the fuck out if she heard that Tamlin was Elaine's mate. So, like, this whole time, Lucian's been, like, covering for Tamlin. And, like, that'd be such a good twist. Like, I'm fully here for that. I just wish that if that turns out to be true, that someone didn't figure it out. Because as much as I love theorizing what's going to happen, I really do like getting surprised. What else surprised me? Something else. Manon tried to kill her grandmother, and then she's, like, still dying, by the way. That's the other thing. She ended up, like, in the oak forest or whatever. Oakvale. Oak something. And then, I wanted to call her the Bloodletter. It's not who she was. Some demon thing tried to kill her. And Abraxas, my baby boy. I love him so much. And then follow-up, does anyone think that Throne of Glass should be adapted the way Game of Thrones was? I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but, like, I feel like Throne of Glass has the ability to be, like, this really good HBO show. And even though these books don't have any smut, or nothing so far, there's been kind of some mentions of, like, desire. But, like, it's all been fade to black or just nothing happening. But, like, first of all, HBO can just make it not fade to black if they want. Or they can do what she did. It's fine either way. I just feel like all the politics in the world and just, like, everything about it. I say this because I don't read high fantasy. There's probably a million other high fantasies that people want adapted more than this. But, like, if you're watching this video, you probably agree with me. And I don't know. I know Hulu, or I shouldn't say I know. I think I know that Hulu has the rights to ACOTAR. Has, like, what Hulu show besides Only Murders in the Building has been good? And Only Murders in the Building has nothing in common with ACOTAR, that, like, that's not a good judge of if they could handle something like this. That's not even really disparaging Hulu, because, like, I just don't know what shows they offer. But, like, HBO needs Sarah J. Maas. My couch is so sunken in. There's, like, no good place to sit and be the height of an actual adult. So bear with. I normally sit at the edge of my couch when I'm talking, or I'm laying down, or I'm fully just mass chaos at all times. I feel as though anyone who's watching this already knows that about me from this vlog and from anything you may have seen in the past. Why is this like an intro? Who knows? I have like 500 pages left of this tandem read, and okay, it is noon on Wednesday. Not that the days mean anything. Also, can we just laugh at past me for thinking she could read all this in a weekend? Like, I've made no progress. Monday was too busy that I just didn't get enough done. Like, I just had a lot going on. So I only read a little bit. And then yesterday, I read the long stretch of Empire of Storms. That was a dumb way to hold that. This section? I read all that, which, I mean, I'm not acting like that's a ton of reading, but like that was just all I did. Anyway, the point is I have 500 pages left. It is noon and I'm wondering if I can finish today. I'm hoping. I really want to, because I have basically been binging Sarah J Maas since February. And I was doing that. I started Throne of Glass immediately after ACOTAR because I could feel a potential reading slump coming on after finishing Silver Flames. So I was like, well, the best way for me to get out of a reading slump is to either read thrillers. Sorry, Stormy doesn't let me cut her nails very often, so she's very sharp, and then she tries to biscuit, and all she does is stab me. And I love her, and I don't know how to explain to her that she needs to let me cut her nails, but we fight when we need to, so she gets a couple trims a year. I feel. Anyway, that's not the point. So after Silver Flames, I was like, I feel a reading slump, and I had a couple options. I could ignore it and hope it went away, which is a risky move. Other options include doing a reread of anything, reading a lot of thrillers, but I've been using thrillers as the sort of in between my Sarah J Maas books. I throw a thriller in because I can usually read them really fast. They're good palate cleansers, and I don't expect them to be necessarily amazing. I expect them to be entertaining. I don't really want to reread anything right now because typically a reread almost always is a series, and I don't like not finishing a series even on a reread. So I was like, okay, if Silver Flames is kind of gonna give me this reading slump, but it's like, okay, if I read another Sarah J Maas, I won't slump. And that was a good choice at the time. But now I am 10 books deep into having almost exclusively read Sarah J Maas and thrillers for 3 months. I've got a couple other things sprinkled in, but like the majority of my reading has been Sarah J Maas and thrillers, and I'm ready to move on. But I have 500 pages left of this tandem read, and then I have Kingdom of Ash, or is that what it's called? Whatever, the last book. And then I have all of Crescent City, but I'm taking a break. After the last Throne of Glass, we're resetting, reading some other things, and then we'll go into Crescent City because I need a break. Also because reading all of her books back to back like this, I'm picking up way too many of her just like favorite phrases, and I can't anymore. The amount of times that Aelin is sucking a singular tooth is gonna make me vomit. It's gross. It's gross when it's your teeth. It's worse when it's a tooth. So all that to say, I need to finish this. I'm also, they're so long. I don't think either of these books needed to be as long as they are. Doubly so because it's not the finale. So there's a lot of buildup for like one battle. Anyway, 6 minutes later, where are my characters at, you might ask? That's a part of this update that you care about. Manon has landed on the ship with the crew. So they finally are kind of all together. I think Fenris can winnow, which I realized this came first. So winnowing technically came second. So it didn't have a name in this, but like, is he from Prithian? Like, is that gonna ever, I know it's not gonna tie together in the series or ACOTAR, but like, will that come together? Because like, he can winnow, right? Like, that's what that was. And I'm kind of over Elodie's plot. Like, she's spent this whole book just walking, and I don't care. I really don't care. I know she's got the weird key, and I know we need it, but now that Lorcan's just figured that out, and Elodie's having this kind of like, I don't know who to trust moment, because she just found out that Selena is Aelin, like it's a whole thing. I don't care about their plot. I thought she was interesting when she was with the witches before she got rescued and left. Like, but now I'm bored of her. I don't care about her chapters. She could just show up. Like, she could just show up and be like, hey, Aelin, I have this weird key for you, and miss all of her traveling, and I would have been fine with that, honestly. Wouldn't have bothered me. So I'm over that. I'm hoping it'll get better, but I'm also kind of over Nesrin. Not her. I like her as a character. I'm over her side plot, because again, it just feels like so much of Tower of Dawn could have been a novella. And like in isolation, Tower of Dawn I think is actually a really good story. I just think
it's slowing down the pace of everything. Like, I said this to my friend, and this is gonna sound so mean. If Kale had died, we wouldn't have needed Tower of Dawn. Like, it just wouldn't have been necessary. We could just have moved on. It would have been okay. Because what is he doing? Like, really? Because then we could have just had Nesrin's plot. She could have gone there, and everything she's been doing over there, a lot shorter. We could have easily cut out Kale's part entirely and then just put Nesrin's into Empire of Storm. That's how I feel about that. But, like, I don't actually think Tower of Dawn is a bad book. I just think it's too long, and where it's placed is just kind of a drag. And Dorian wants to fuck Manon, which I already knew, but, like, they made that very explicit. And Aelin and Rowan have finally had sex, which, like, didn't care about that at all. But they did. That was a thing. Lysandra almost died, and everyone's mad at Aelin because she used the weird key, but, like, I guess no demons came through that particular time. I don't really understand the weird keys, I'm not gonna lie. The problem with high fantasy, I don't understand a lot of what's going on. I just kind of wing my way through it. Oh, and they got Rolf on their side. There are so many names that are so similar, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Aiden and Aelin, when I am reading, I will mix those two names up. Like, those are way too close, and it's not okay. I hate it. I think that's pretty much all the important updates. I guess, like, we're supposed to not hate the king now because he was trying to protect people by killing everyone who was, like, an heir of magic so that the demons couldn't get to them. Like, it was kind of always the Duke. He was, like, always the bad guy, and the king was just kind of, like, only kind of bad. Because, like, yeah, I mean, he was obviously controlled by a demon at some point, but, like, no, he still just was a shitty person. Like, you know what? It's kind of like Snape. Mostly a bad dude who did, like, one good thing. And I don't even know what the king's necessarily good thing was. But, like, I feel like they're trying to make him morally gray in the afterlife, and, like, not here for it. Just, like, let him suck the whole time. He didn't have to have redeeming qualities. I also feel like I don't need them. I do not need more updates. But it is surprising that after the Duke is like, oh, I don't recognize Dorian Hilliard as the king. It's actually going to go to his brother. And then, like, we just do not hear about his mom and brother again. Like, Dorian's like, oh, yeah, like, I left them to kind of clean up this mess, didn't I? Where are they? What's going on? Are they coming back? Is the brother going to take the throne? Who knows? Not me. I don't know. Anyway, so it's noon. I started to work at like 6 o'clock, so I'm basically already done. I have some tasks I need to keep an eye on, but like the bulk of my work is done, which is nice. So I'm gonna try and just kind of read for the rest of the day, except for like that, hour break when I watch Game Grumps because I watch them daily because of who I am as a person. Yeah, so I feel like it's time to just prop my eyes open, maybe get some caffeine because I'm tired. I got up at 3 o'clock yesterday and didn't go to bed till like 9. It was a questionable choice. And I didn't take a nap yesterday, but I don't really want a nap now, even though it's like perfect napping weather because it's gray and it might rain. It's cool. I've got the doors open, but I'm gonna try and read these. How many times can I say that? I'm just procrastinating. Maeve is queen of the Valg. What the fuck is going on? When I tell you that I would have raged upon finishing it, what am I reading? I'm so tired. Finishing Empire of Storms, Jesus. And then finding out about Tower of Dawn, being all excited, and then finding out that it was just a full-ass book without Aelin when she's locked in an iron coffin. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm almost shocked that Tower of Dawn has good reviews at all. I haven't actually finished that yet. Oh, God. I literally just finished Empire of Storms, and I have pages left in Tower of Dawn. But I'm gonna finish, she says, not knowing how many pages are left. Maybe I'm not. I'm so tired. Oh my god, okay, it's like 100 pages. I'm not finishing tonight. I've already changed my mind immediately. Because, like, that's too many when I'm sleepy. so much just happened at the end of Empire Storms. What the fuck? Like, Maeve being the Vogue queen. I guess, really, I don't know that this crew knows that yet. Like, it's weird because, like, I guess I have knowledge that, like, people who read this not tandem didn't have. Like, Maeve talks about stealing the weird keys from Brannon, but, like, she doesn't explicitly say that she's the Vogue queen. So I don't actually know if they know that yet. Meanwhile, Kale finally faced his demons and he can walk again. And Nesrin is flying back, and her little lover boy, whose name I can't pronounce, the S1 Sartik or something. He seems like he's like down for the war finally. Sartok? So I feel like they've got the Rucks on board. The Rucks, like the birds. So the people who fly the birds. They seem like they're down. I don't trust this kingdom at all because someone is letting the Vogue in. Or are they coming from the spider's little hidey hole? I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. But I do think someone is infected with Vogue. Like, that just feels correct. And I know I was saying it was Caution. I'm kind of taking that back. He seems like he's actually kind of a good guy. Which also means in the last 100 pages, shit's gonna go down because it's always the last 100 pages with Miss Moss, isn't it? It always is. Which is the other reason I just don't think I have it in me to finish this, because I'm like, this is gonna be 100 pages of chaos. And I'm actually at a really good pause point. So one more day and then I won't really be done because I'll have another 1,000 pages. Kingdom of Ash. But I get to take a break because I have to read this, finish my Lisa Jewell book, and then read my book club book and my library book. So that's 3 more books. And then Kingdom of Ash. A nice little breather. Oh, Sarah J. Maas, what are you doing to me?
My hair is a mess. Everything's a mess. And my face is really red because we're reading in the sun. It doesn't really, I'm half sun, half shade. Oh, there's a lizard. I don't want them to touch me, but I do like watching lizards crawl around. I think they're fun. Actually, I went to the store yesterday and I was at the stoplight and I just saw one sitting on my rear windshield. And right as I got the green light to go, it crawled up to the roof of my car. And I was like, I really hope that thing has got good grippers because I didn't go far. He made it. By the time I got home, he was still in my car. So right here, face of a warrior, I tell you. But what's important here is that I finished Tower of Dawn. I only have 1 book left. And I'm so grateful because, like, I say Tower of Dawn dragged, but, like, in the scope of Throne of Glass, Tower of Dawn is a bit too long, and it comes at a time where you don't want a 700-page tangent. But, like, in isolation, it's a good story. I liked the story that was told and the character development that was had, except I'm kind of under the impression that, like, Kale could have just died. It would have been fine. They said that twice. And that, like, we go through his entire healing journey and he still ends up paralyzed. Kind of. I know, it's different. It's not the same thing. And his journey was about healing emotionally. I get that. I do. And this whole story is not about Kale's legs. Okay, I understand that. But, like, for 700 pages, like, we could have left out almost all of that and just gotten Nesrin and Sartok's, like, story as a novella. I think that would have been fine. Like, yeah, am I glad that Irene is back? Absolutely. Yes, it was, like, all relevant. And I was right. It was one of the siblings that was infested with the Vogue. I did think about Duva at some point because I was like, oh, maybe the baby's a ruse, and it's like, I don't know, the Vogue's just chilling in her stomach. Like, I didn't really have a well thought out plan for why I suspected Duva, which is why I didn't ever bring it up because I was, like, mostly joking with myself. And then it turned out to be right, but whatever. And then Irene marries Kale just off page. I thought that was dumb. Not that they're married, but that we spend all this time building up that romance to then get the marriage off screen. Like, is this Bridgerton? If you don't know, the weddings are the least exciting part of Bridgerton stories. Also, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings on the Bridgerton books. My thoughts and feelings are like, this was a solid 3. It was fine. I do recommend the tandem read, even though it kind of went on forever because it really did feel like I was reading one book the whole time. So it's kind of like the book that would never end, which is not wonderful. But I cannot imagine reading this after Empire of Storms and liking anything from this. So I've seen people say you could read this before Empire of Storms, but then you get the spoilers for attack on the glass castle, or is it really the stone castle at that point? Whatever, when they take over Ardalan slash Rifthold. And like, okay, that one's not such a huge deal because you still don't know what happened to Aelin and Dorian. Like, you kind of assume that they're alive, but like, you don't necessarily know. So like, I mean, there is still some intrigue there. I guess Aelin wasn't even at that fight, but so I mean, like, you get kind of some nuggets of things that happen. But I think the big thing is at the end they do tell you that Aelin faces off against Maeve, and I think even though if you read this first, you wouldn't know that Lysandra is shapeshifting to be Aelin. So when they say, "Oh, but Aelin was seen," that part would still be a shock that she gets kidnapped. Except then, so you say that, and then you get this Fireheart last chapter where like clearly Aelin is captured. So for a first time read, I don't know why you're watching this vlog, so this advice would be for nobody. But like, I really don't recommend reading this first, which is why I recommend the tandem read, even though it is lengthy to do it that way. And if you've read it before, it doesn't matter how you read it because you've already read it. You already know the story. So you're going in with a completely different perspective. So I don't really know what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about it for. What matters is I'm done and I have one more book left and I'm so excited to be done. And not that sounds more like an I'm hating it way, and I'm really not. I am enjoying it. I'm just I have read so much Sarah J. Maas. I just need a break. But I can't have a break until I finish Kingdom of Ash. I mean, I think I already said this last night that I'm getting a little bit of a break. I am going to read The Thursday Murder Club. Now that I am possibly sunburned because I am white as a ghost and burn super easily, and I didn't put sunscreen on because I forgot. That's the main reason. Also, I saw a giant cicada. In case you're wondering, I am in the path of the apocalyptic cicada event. And that's the first time I've seen one in person. Didn't realize I had never seen one because I thought it was a Jurassic fly. I don't know if that's a real thing, but like I sent a picture, I sent this picture to my sister. I was like, what the Jurassic fuck is this? And it turns out that I'm just the only person who doesn't know what a cicada looks like. But the fact that I'm seeing one is not boding well for this apocalyptic event that's supposed to start in like 2 weeks. So, not excited at all. So, I didn't check in while I read Kingdom of Ash. So, the short version is that I finished. I am completely caught up on everything but Crescent City, and it's been a roller coaster. I didn't check in because when I read the first third, I was out of town and I wasn't going to film in other people's spaces like that. And I mean, I was busy, I was doing things that there was no point. And then I felt myself slumping. That book was too long. And every time I picked it up, it was so many battle scenes that I'm going to go out there and say it had no stakes. I know they should have had stakes, but I also was just like super confident none of the main group was going to die because I read ACOTAR. So she doesn't like killing her characters off, which, obviously like I'm okay with because like I like the characters. But for 900, almost 1,000 pages, we're in a lot of battles that I'm like, none of you are going to die. So what's the point? And there is a point. I know it's just war is my least favorite part of fantasy novels. And for a long time it was why I thought I didn't like fantasy novels. Yeah, so I kept finding myself not really wanting to pick it up or not read it for very long So I just picked a day and I sat down and I read 600 pages in a day and I was exhausted. I don't recommend doing that. And it was fine. It was a good ending. I didn't like this all sounds very negative for the fact that I had like a lot of fun this whole time. And it's disappointing that I feel like the last book was just kind of a slog, but it kind of was. And it's okay. I still like this series. It's fine. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I gave it another chance. I appreciated that they figured out that Aelin and Dorian could like kind of split the cost of closing the gate. But I have to wonder if closing the gate or forging the lock, I guess, took all of Aelin's power, 100% of it. What did sharing do? Because when you think about it, she lost all of her power. She only has any power because Mala gave her some in the end. And if I recall correctly, I think she needed Mala's power to even finish forging the lock. She could have done that alone and not had enough power because, like, they used Dorian's power and Dorian Sr.'s power. So that was. Why am I coughing? So I kind of wonder about that. Like, she appeared to have not enough power, but then also was meant to be the only one. And Dorian seemed stronger, so actually, by that logic, maybe he actually should have been the one to go. Although I loved his powers, and I wish we got more with them because he seemed to kind of have just the every power. But he had so many powers, and he seemed to be able to pick up new ones pretty easily. Like, I know he like took the shifting from Celine, but the fact that he's even able to do that, like his magic was super interesting, and I actually wish we got more on that than we did. So that would have been cool. I have so many questions why this is an ACOTAR thing, but when people are speculating on who Elaine is going to end up with, like, will it be Lucian? Will it be, oh my god, what's his name? The Bat Boy. Azriel. Someone speculated Tamlin, which honestly I would kind of love. I'm not like the biggest Tamlin hater. I hate him for what he did, but like I do think he could grow and change. And I kind of feel like he would be good for Elaine. But then there was this post that Sarah J. Maas made that was, like wintry, that pine trees, and people were speculating. Okay, so I say this, they didn't use Rowan's name, but they said something to the effect of, who else do we know that smells like pine and snow, which is what they say about Rowan. But Rowan's with Aelin, so how could he be with Elaine? I have so many questions about that. Because that whole time I was like, okay, maybe Aelin will die, and then Rowan will just go on to his third mate. I kind of would have liked it if Aelin died. Like, not that I needed her to. I just think that would have been an interesting plot. Especially since the books weren't in first person and we had so many perspectives, which is not something I loved throughout, but whatever. We could have lost. I don't know. I think by the end there was just too many perspectives. There's too many storylines I didn't care about. Like Aelin's story, like her torture, I loved all. Oh, I didn't love it, but like it was engaging to read. I was invested. Then we get to Aiden's chapters and like, I don't care. He's being a dick to Lysandra. I don't care. They're losing in a battle. I should care, but like it was so many battle scenes, so I just didn't care. I loved Lysandra's stories though. Like she was good when she was actually narrating. I liked her a lot, and I did not expect that when we first met her. So that was really fun character growth. And I loved seeing Aelin and Irene reunite, and I loved that Irene grew into the woman that she became, and that she was so proud of herself, and she like the way she built herself up and the way she took Aelin's advice and just like everything about it. I loved it all so much. She was probably one of my favorite characters in the end. I did not care about Nesrin at all. Like, Tower of Dawn in and of itself was an interesting book, but I really just feel like it was not necessary to the overall plot. Like, I feel like so much of what actually happened there could have been just a couple chapters in either book 5 or book 6. Nope. The two surrounding Tower of Dawn. I get confused in how many books there are because I counted Assassins of Blade as like a book and not a half book. Throws off my numbering system. But like Tower of Dawn was so long and like for nothing. It wasn't for nothing. That's so mean. It just like honestly, I would have been, I think I already said this, but I would have been so pissed if I was reading these books when they were coming out, getting the cliffhanger from that one that comes before Tower of Dawn. Why don't I know the names? Empire of Storms. Getting to the end of Empire of Storms, getting that cliffhanger, and then having to read Tower of Dawn would have made me so angry. So like fully support the tandem read or even Tower of Dawn first. But Honestly, Empire Storm should come right before Kingdom of Ash, personally. But holy shit, this has been like a 3 month endeavor. I think I started in March. So yeah, I mean, all of April, most of March, and half of May. Like, I'm exhausted. And I say this as if I'm not going to pick up another series. I'm technically in the middle of many, but I need to just read some standalones. I need some thrillers. I just need something quick and easy and requires no additional thought because by the end of Throne of Glass, I was just there's so much going on, so many plots to tie up, and I and like 7 books of characters to remember who they all are and what they mean and what matters. I don't know. I go back and forth between if I love series or not. When I started Akatar and Throne of Glass, I was like, yes, I love being in this world, like in these worlds for a long time and like fleshing it all out. And by the end of Kingdom of Ash, I'm just like, standalones forever, please. So it's a mix. It's a mixed bag. But thank you for coming on this journey with me. And I will see you in another video in the future. Bye.